Hello, I'm Beck. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be drawing a D&D character based on the roll of the dice.
Let's bring out
Beck. Welcome to my channel.
Destiny!
Now, some of you eager fans may have noticed that I've redone my table so that instead of it being half different kinds of elf and then a couple of animal types chucked in there, I've categorized them based on ones that look pretty similar. So elf, half-elf, eladrin, etc., they're all in one category, and if I roll a 6, that's I'll just pick one of them, or I might roll again to pick within that category. And I've kind of grouped everything together by that, so ones that look quite similar are grouped that by the way they look, because I'll be drawing them. And this way it should allow for a little bit more diversity in terms of the types of creatures I'm drawing. Today is a Harengon, which is a rabbit folk kind of person. They're pretty cool. They have some cool stats, like they can jump really high. Don't have them in front of me, I'll have to look them up in a minute, but I love a Harengon and I haven't gotten to draw one yet, so this should be fun. Now, an artificer is pretty cool. There's a quote by Terry Pratchett that says, "Just because you know how it works doesn't mean it's not magic." And that is very, very much an artificer's point of view, because they are essentially scientists, mechanics, people who are really good with their hands and tinkering and that sort of thing, but they use it to create their own kind of magic, kind of like if you could code magic. And arguably, people can do that. I mean, I don't know how my iPhone works, but sure does work, doesn't it? Applying that to this character, I really wanted her to have a cute kind of mechanic vibe, a little bit steampunky. I wanted to kind of, she could almost work in a garage, but she could also be making rocket ships. You can't really tell when you first meet her. And yeah, I actually decided that I wanted her to have a robotic arm. It's always fun to have an artificer reflect their work in terms of maybe when she was learning there was some sort of accident in the lab that caused her to lose an arm, or maybe she was born without the arm. Maybe something happened that was completely unrelated to her class that caused her to be missing an arm. And potentially that's why she got into artificering in the first place. I would say I don't usually draw characters who have disabilities, and I really should get amongst that, because it does make characters just so much more in-depth and interesting, especially in the world of D&D, where it's a very dangerous place and there are lots of creatures that want to eat you and eat your appendages, and there are spells that can make you go blind and deaf, and there's just a lot of danger in the world. So to create a character, especially visually, that has something that all by itself tells a story, or at least invites you to imagine that they've lived a life before this, before you see them for the first time. They've obviously got a history, whereas most characters, the perfect pristine ones, you could imagine that they just popped out of the ground as they are, and maybe they did, because magic. Although, in terms of disability, I don't know if this really counts as one. Like, if you have a robotic arm that works better than a normal arm, would you call that a disability? Interesting train of thought to get into there. But anyway, she's got a robotic arm. She's amazing at making things and tinkering around with magic. She probably makes a lot of robots that maybe become sentient, or at the very least, they work better than what code alone could do. They have that little essence of magic that D&D allows. Now, her strongest ability is intelligence, which would make sense because she would have to study a lot to become good at building things. Her wisdom, by comparison, is, better than average, but it's nothing amazing. So I would say she spends a lot of time by herself indoors, so learning a lot of things, but not necessarily getting a lot of worldly knowledge. And maybe her need to adventure is to find inspiration and gain some wisdom by experiencing life and the things that the world outside has to offer. Her strength and dex are equally high, pretty good scores. I think that might play into her usually being alone working on her projects where she doesn't get help when she needs to do something that requires strength or dexterity. She's used to doing things on her own, building her own robot arm to help rather than relying on other people to help her do two-armed activities. It all plays into who she is as a person. Now, her con and her charisma are both pretty, exactly average. I usually consider +0 to be what's considered average for an adventurer. So her constitution, it's neither super high or super low. She doesn't like super spicy food. She can't metabolize strange poisonous plants or anything, but she's also not just surviving on porridge. She likes a varied diet of good nutritional value, and being a rabbit, she's probably vegetarian, so she would have to take a special interest in making sure she gets enough protein and stuff like that. And then charisma wise, you might even expect her to have a lower charisma for a background that I made up where she doesn't really get out and talk to people, but I think the amount of reading she does probably makes up for it a little bit, where she gets a good sense of people through books and the way that various authors have written about things, and that translates into her ability to connect with people and inspire them or motivate them, which is what charisma is all about. It's not always about being sexy, it's about being able to manipulate is the wrong word, but the ability to sway people to seeing your way of things, or connecting with them, creating a connection with people. I think, generally speaking, she's a pretty cool character, pretty cool-headed and good at keeping calm in emergency situations. She's probably dealt with her share of explosions in the lab, and it takes a lot to rattle her. So that would also play into her charisma, that natural vibe that you get from someone who's really hard to rattle, really hard to scare and throw off balance. As you can see, I gave her a lot of pockets and a utility belt and her cute little overalls because I wanted her to have lots of different places to put her tools and pens and little snacks that she probably carries around because she misses meals when she gets absorbed in the project that she's working on. I think that she's the kind who can lose track of hours or even days just absorbed in what she's doing. She's so passionate about all the little robotics and mechanical things that she puts together that time kind of loses all meaning. Speaking of time, I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and if you've been watching the other videos I've made, double thank you. You are the maximum cool person. Well done. I hope you're enjoying these videos. I enjoy making them, and yeah, thank you. It's always a bit hard when I start to color things in because sometimes I have a color palette in mind and sometimes I'm completely guessing at what kind of color coordination I'm going to give the character, and it does change them a lot. I was thinking about doing all very warm reds and oranges and have her fur be kind of brown or like creamy brown speckles kind of setup, but I ended up going with more of a grays and obviously greens and things because I was thinking about the silver that, you know, tools are usually in more of the cool color range, so I was aiming to get that kind of vibe. I gave a grey fur and the cooler tones of the colors. It kind of matches her cool vibe, I guess. Cool, calm, and collected. But certainly not organized. I think she has a very disorganized setup. I think it's that sort of, you walk in and it's chaos, and she knows where everything is, so if you put things away, she'll get mad at you because you ruined her system. But it would look like just a toolbox or a tool shed exploded in the area where she works. It'll just be wires and random bits and bobs everywhere. So I haven't given this one a name yet. I think I'm going to call her Kit. I think Kit is a good name for her. Kit grew up with two brothers in a very nurturing household environment. Each of the siblings, so her and her brothers, were encouraged to try a lot of different things, and then the things that they enjoyed doing, their parents would nurture that and encourage them to push forward and be better at the things that they like to do, rather than trying to pigeonhole their children into being some sort of way, like you need to be good at sports, or we want you to become a doctor, or anything like that. I think it was just a case of two good parents who are interested in seeing who their children are rather than telling their children who to be. And that's where Kit gets her confidence from, and where she's been able to figure things out. She feels that freedom inside of her heart where she's not anxious about failing. She knows she'll fail in order to learn. So she almost looks forward to the puzzle of failing and trying again, and failing and trying again, and failing and trying again. And that's something that she learned from having good parents who didn't punish her for breaking something when she was trying to make it into something new. They would maybe explain to her that she needs to respect other people's property, but they certainly encouraged the part of her that was creative and interested in learning how things worked and taking them apart so she could put them back together. And yeah, that's where she got her super high intelligence. And in terms of having a hook for adventure, I think it would just be a matter of her knowing someone in the adventuring party who invites her to come along. I don't think she would need any sort of special reason, like she's not looking for treasure. You don't need to have someone in her family go missing and she's trying to find them. I think she just really has that thirst for knowledge and seeing the world and just embracing it all. And yeah, that's Kit. What do we think of her? Do we like the way she came out? Her mechanical arm? Her artificer vibes? Have you ever played a Harengon Artificer? Or one or the other? Let me know in the comments. And thank you so very much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Bye!